Hi YouTube, and this is JTrain997, and I'm back this time with my review of the G.I. Joe Retaliation G.I. Joe Ninja Showdown set. Now this is one of the two initial 3 packs released, and of course in this pack you get a Red Ninja, who they might as well have given billing as Slice, because that's who he is pretty much. He comes with Slice's mask. Slice was a Red Ninja. There's a little more black on this one than the standard, but you know how it goes. Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, all of which seem to have had repaintings. I don't know if there's anything besides the repaint. I mean, there's obviously more gear on Snake Eyes, but there is quite a bit of gear here in the packaging as far as weapons. So, very nice. On the back of the packaging here, you can see each of them with their assorted gear. Over here, the standard little read-up. And I don't know if the dojo itself has a read-up. There's some on top here. You can pause it right there and read it if you like. So, not all that much to say about the packaging. Let's open them up. And first up out of the pack, we'll be having a look at Storm Shadow. Now, Storm Shadow was honestly probably the one I wanted least out of this pack. Not that he's a bad figure. I had already reviewed the Retaliation Storm Shadow, and I actually really liked him. However, I really don't dig the paint job they went with on this guy. I'm pulling the hat off. More on that in a second. I don't know. I mean, it looks kind of more classic Joe, but it just isn't a color. I mean, it's not a bad scheme. It's just not one I'm crazy about. Now, zooming back out here. This hat was not pictured on the little gear loadout on the back, and you couldn't see it in the packaging. And it's very, very massive. It's not going to fit really any of your Joes very well. So I mean, you can kind of put it on there and let it rest, but it's not going to stay. Which is a shame, because I actually really do like the hat. Kind of a little Raiden deal going on. But dropping that down. And we'll be talking about the various gear that came with each of the figures pictured on the back. Storm Shadow got the 2 spears, or whatever these things are. People always correct me and tell me the proper names, and I promptly forget. But these are really nice. Speaking of Raiden and Mortal Kombat in general, little twist tie, put this with one of your smaller scorpions from Jazzwares. Instant spear hook. He's also got this smaller blade. Really don't like the design of this. The blade is too short, in my opinion. I mean, I'm sure there's blades like that in real life, but for me, you know, not my deal. I don't think they look very good. Storm Shadow also came with the bow, which, where did I put that thing? Here it is. I actually really, really like this bow, mainly because it does have a little joint where you can pull it back. That's great for poses where it looks like you're about to fire the bow, where the bow's at rest. You can also disassemble it, like maybe it got chopped in half mid-fight. It's a shame we didn't get an arrow. That would have been really great for this set. But enough about Storm Shadow's gear. Also, you're going to see each of these figures on a base. You can see this is a copperhead base. Did not go with him. Of course, he's also got his little staff. I'm really disappointed that I left the bases out, but more on that in a bit. Storm Shadow does a full up and down, a full 360 at the head as well as an up and down. His collar is a little bit stiff. Makes it a little bit stiff in movement, but other than that, it's fine. Arms are on a ball joint, full 360. Bend and spin at the elbow. Spin at the wrist, and hinged wrist, which is being a little stiff right now, but I can definitely see the joint there. Yeah, there we go. Of course, very nice crunch at the abdomen, left and right. Legs forward, back, and out. Double jointed knee, ankle joint, and ankle pivot. Very, very nice. So, once again, everyone out there already knows at this point, Retaliation figures had a lot of really cut down articulation. However, ninjas are safe from that. Now, real quick, we'll bring in the standard Retaliation Storm Shadow. And as you can see, obviously the same figure, just repainted. I really like the standard Storm Shadow better. Also, they cut off the sheaths on the back for this guy, although you could just take the Snake Eyes one from this set because it's not doing him any good. More on that in a bit. So, already I could say this is it's still a great Storm Shadow, but I feel like he's probably the weakest figure from this set. And that being said, let's move on to the next figure. And next up we have Snake Eyes. Now, this is really a prime example of how good a repaint can be, because at first glance you really can't tell these figures, well, the 2 figures are all that similar. All Snake Eyes definitely look alike, they're the same character, but this guy, with just the addition of gear and some slightly different paint, comes out looking fantastic. I actually think I even prefer this look to the single-carded Retaliation Snake Eyes. Of course, you can see I've got him cradling his gun here, which does have a detachable silencer, or suppressor. He also comes with his dual sheaths and swords. Same as the standard release. The gear on the back does make it a little difficult to peg in. You still can, but I don't know, it makes the gear look a little awkward. So personally, I'm probably going to end up sticking this on either the single-carded Snake Eyes, who did not get sheaths, or even Storm Shadow from this line. Like I said, he had his sheaths cut off. Also, he's got an additional gun. So let's actually pull this out of his hand here, and get a better look at his gear real quick. Again, really great looking Snake Eyes. A lot of nice silver. You can see there is Chicago logo over there. Digging that gear. And zooming back out. His articulation, all the figures in the set's articulation is pretty much the same. Snake Eyes retains the full amount in his abdomen region, even though he has this massive gear on, which does say a lot. Arms are unhindered. Once again, hinged wrist, which, yep, a little stiff and moving, but there they go. Full range of movement, double jointed, ankle pivot. So yeah, really awesome articulation. It's a real shame that Retaliation is cutting out so much of it between figures. And their whole thing is like, well, the figures that need it have it. Like, the G.I. Joe is an elite team. All these guys are supposed to be, the top, alpha dogs of the alpha dogs, to coin a phrase from the movie. But, yeah, I would think they all should have full articulation. Here is the standard carded Snake Eyes, as you can see. And just a quick comparison. Now, these are both great Snake Eyes figures, but they just look completely different. I think that says a lot. Of course, some people's opinion may vary. There are obvious similarities. But, here where you've got just different shades of black, all over the outfit. Over here, silver, a lot lighter black, almost a gray. I think they really complement each other nicely, and it's, going to take somebody's going to have to get right up on them to tell them they're a completely different figure. So, a lot of nice gear. This is definitely a pickup in my book, even if you already have the Retaliation single-carded Snake Eyes and are happy with it. I still say you'd have to get this pack just for this guy. A fantastic figure, and that being said, let's move on to the final one from this set, which is, of course, going to be Slice, my personal most wanted from this set. I really always love Slice and Dice from the G.I. Joe universe. If that subscription service ever gets going, we've got a Dice coming. And even though it's technically just a Red Ninja, we've already got our Slice. Now, he does come with this big zip line, the same one that the Red Ninja comes with. It's just a solid black, though. No use in showing you how that works. You guys have already seen it in my reviews. He also comes with a wolf claw, which in the on the back of the packaging, it's supposed to be red. Here it's just black. This is actually a nice one, though. You see a lot of different variations of this weapon in the G.I. Joe line. And this is one of the better ones. My personal favorite, I think, still being the one that Kamakura came with in the Rise of Cobra line. But enough about that. Of course, I really dig this pose I've got him in here. Of course, once again, no figures in the Retaliation line are coming with bases. So you can't ever get these poses in unless you got spare bases lying around. But I'm really digging this. He's got the dual psi. And this is, of course, using the Renegade Storm Shadow sculpt, which means the hands are specially, split for the psi. Now, on a quick little note, I can't quite recall for sure because I can't find the mask, but the Temple Guardian Snake Eyes from Pursuit of Cobra also came with this mask, although it was I don't believe it had the red band. And I think it was actually textured on the mask to make it look a little bit more like a fencing one. This is almost a completely solid, well, it is a solid plastic. No texture at all. Really wish I could find that other mask for a comparison, but I can't. Still, this is his, trademark mask, and I'm really glad he has it. Of course, he has the standard Red Ninja head under there. Now, he does have the full range of articulation. His torso is a little bit hindered just because of the way the strap is. He still does the crunch. And much like Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes, also from the set, he has the full range of movement, all the way down to the ankle pivot. So there's really not too much use in going over the articulation itself. So, at the end of the day, even though Retaliation got pushed back to March 2013, they still put out some pretty solid toys. They put out some pretty crappy toys, but this is definitely some of the better ones. Not to mention that the Retaliation figures, depending on what store you're at, can run you about $10 a fig. That is ridiculous, and that's a die-hard Joe fan saying that. But that's the great thing about these sets. Most stores seem to be pricing them right around 20 bucks, even the higher marked retailers. And 20 bucks for 3 figures, no matter how you cut it, is great, especially for 3 great figures. The Storm Shadow, I admit, I was a little bit on, but that's because I have a personal distaste for his paint job. Slice and Snake Eyes are absolutely perfect in my book, and these guys come with an incredible amount of gear. So any G.I. Joe fan is going to need to pick these guys up. And that being said, this is JTrain997, and I'll see you soon, YouTube.